Each fall and spring, speckled trout can be found making a major move all along the Gulf Coast. Captain Charlie Thomason has spent many years following specks through this transition period, and he has some key concepts that he uses during this time to put more trout in the boat. Follow along as Louisiana Sportsman presents this coastal fishing concept.
Oh, there he is. Nice one. Well, everybody, great morning this morning. We're getting down to the time of the year where we all know transitioning happens and our fish start to make their move. And when that happens, we all know every day could be different. And a great way to find them and a great way to fish them is to find oysters, find shrimp, and use the top water just like this to locate them. Let's see. Nice one, start off the morning.
During transitional periods, Captain Charlie likes to start the morning off with a topwater bait. This allows him to cover long stretches of water to locate fish.
There he is. Oh, and that little bitty fish right here. Now, one thing that you're gonna notice that what I like to do a lot, and I think that you should do this also is get you, like I have this little mirror lure right here. It's a sea eyes. It's in a chartreuse color. It's one of my favorite baits to use. And even though I caught this small fish, most people be like, oh, it's a small fish. But that's really good because what it's telling me is that I'm sitting there fishing a bait that is a locator. All I'm trying to do is locate where the fish are. As I'm going down these banks and fishing these little shell humps that are along here, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna locate the fish, then I'll change up. If they start slowing down on this, I'll go to something like under a cork or just a straight like matrix under a jig head and tight line it in where I can maybe progressively get bigger fish or just find more fish at that. But this is a location device that I use all the time, and you should also every time you go out fishing, I promise you. All right, everybody, it's a great transitioning day today. We've got couple of little fronts that have been passing through, and what's happening now is all of our shrimp are moving in and out with the tides right now. Big equinox tides, so that means we've got heavy tides moving back and forth. And what that does, it makes those shrimp move in and out really quick. So every day, the fish might be 4 or 5 miles between where they were the day before. But a really good signaling is the birds. If you find the birds diving, those trout and even redfish will be in with them. Let's see if we can catch some. There he is. Got him. Oh, he come off. Man, the shrimp are busting back there like crazy. Oop, trying to hit me right now. There he is. Got him. Oh man, there's nothing like catching these transitioning fish because what it is, it's not really about the size and how many. You're gonna catch them and you're gonna get enough to bring home to eat. You'll probably catch your limit. But the cool thing is having the ability to find these fish, and when you find them, use baits that are productive. And you know, a lot of people want to know, you know, like what is the concept? The concept is using the things that you have learned over the years and using the techniques to try to find those fish. And that's what I'm doing this morning. Well, I won't tell you that I pulled up and I just started catching fish. I've had to move. And because of the transitional time, I've got to do that. And now that I found them, I can sit here and beat them up and have a great time catching while I get something to bring home to eat if I want to. Oh, I had 2 fish on that one time for a second. That's awesome. I don't think I still do. Nope, but I had 2 fish on there. They both hit the top water. How awesome. Now look, you see, I'm using this top water to locate the fish. Once I locate them, there's different ways I can fish. I could take a popping cork, like a Versamaxx Cork, put something underneath it, like a, you know, any kind of plastic. I like to use like voodoo shrimp or something that looks really natural to what they're feeding on, because right now, during this transitional period, we know that the shrimp are moving a lot. So this is finding them. If I get another hit with a nice trout like this, I'm gonna go ahead, and what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna go and start using a cork. I'll get a lot more production off of it. Now I've switched over to the cork. We're gonna see if our fish size increases or not. It may not. The school is actually so thick right here, it's actually causing a sheen on top of the water, which we call a slick. and I'm fishing right on the edge of that slick, and yeah, he's a little bit bigger. Yeah, he's a keeper. And the thing is that these fish will drop down, and the great thing about it is that I can use any artificial. I've got a glow with a chartreuse. This is a smaller voodoo shrimp. But the really cool thing is I got a Versamaxx Pro Series cork on, got a lot of noise, and I have the ability to change my depth on this cork. So if I want to go up or down to catch better or smaller fish, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to check him right now. He looks like he's about 12.5 inches. Beautiful. There he is. Oh, another nice one. Coming on in. Here he comes, getting fooled by that cork. Once the sound of that cork during a transition time also happens, we got a cork that makes a lot of noise. And what that does is that cork attracts fish because they're real scattered during the transition time. They're not, you could hear it, they're not just all sitting on the point waiting for your bait to come by. They're scattered out all along this area. So what you have to do is you have to call them over to the bait, and that's what we're using popping corks for. It's very, very popular from Mobile all the way across to the Texas, panhandle down there, shore down there. These fish get heavily on that, and these speckled trout will eat it every single time. Awesome. Let's see. Oh, here he comes. Now, one of the tips that I can really give you on transitioning fish is to make sure that when you're out fishing, you fan cast. And what that means is you start at one spot, you fish that, keep going down the bank or going across that oyster reef or doing whatever you have to do to cover as much ground as you can. I'm telling you, these fish scatter out, and the successful anglers are the ones who make that decision not to get stuck on a single point or a single rig or a single reef. They actually go around and they make sure that they hit every little thing. It's like dissecting the area, and that is the way of coming in between 5 fish and coming in with 45 fish. All right, there he is. Now I'll tell y'all, one of the things that you have to remember when with fishing on transition, you've gotta move a lot. And I mean move a bunch, because everywhere you move is gonna have a different scenario, different fishing, and different fish. Just like today, transitioning is one of the most challenging times to fish because you literally can move a mile and it's from feast to famine, that's what happens. And the same thing will happen to you. But if you move, you look for them with that topwater bait. Once you find them, start using your Versamaxx Cork, little bait underneath it. I promise you, you'll produce really good. And that's your concept for the day. I'll see you next time.